Everyone, welcome back, and for those who are new, welcome. Good to see some familiar faces, and thanks to everyone who's first time coming. Just to give you a bit of background, obviously tonight we have two fantastic speakers. We have Vicki Wusche, who's going to be talking to you all about really, in essence, how to be improve and be a better business person, and she's obviously going to tie that into property because she's a hugely successful property investor, and you'll be hearing all about her story. And then later on we have Zahir Anwari, who is my personal mentor for trading. So I met Zahir in February last year. My story with trading goes back to like 2006 when I was dabbling and I was really interested, and anyone who's kind of looked into trading previously, I mean, God, if you type Forex trading into Google, you're going to have to find hundreds of thousands of results, and it's a real minefield out there. So I was very fortunate. I came across Zahir, and he is absolutely amazing. He's phenomenal, and he's shown me a way to trade that really works and makes money. So Zahir will be here later on to talk to you about that. So we're going to get cracking with the speakers really soon because we've got loads to cram in tonight. But for those of you who are new, just a little bit of background about myself and how we set the group up. So I basically left my full-time job just before Christmas, and I've spent 16 years working in the music industry. So I was managing dance music record companies and having a good time, partying lots and traveling the world. And my friends were like, "You're absolutely crazy, you've got a dream job, why are you leaving?" But, you know, like any job, it can sound good on the outside, but when you're doing the same thing every day and someone else's agenda and you're getting that same amount of money at the end of every month, you know, it just gets a bit boring, a bit stagnant. So I've always been really into personal development since about 2004 when my friend put in a Jim Rohn CD into his car, and that really was my first taste of personal development, and I've never looked back since, and Jim Rohn is still #1 for me. So anyone who's read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm sure most of you are kind of on that same sort of mindset, and that's why we're all here together, because, you know, we don't necessarily not enjoy our jobs, but we have bigger goals and we believe there's more to life, and we definitely want more freedom and more time to do all the things we want. And some of you who are you know, on the Facebook, our secret Facebook group, would have seen that I did my vision board at the weekend. Last month we had a guest speaker, Neil Ward, and he went through a section on goals and mindset and how to really achieve, you know, everything you want, and he was really big on the vision board. And so, you know, of course I'm going to go and follow what's working for him, and already I'm seeing that every day, and I've got my Ferrari on there, and you know, I'm getting one step closer every day. So I really I suggest that everyone has a look at that and really just puts it in front of what you want, because it's good to have your goals, you know, but without deadlines, without seeing those goals, then they can just kind of be floating around. It doesn't really pull you towards them. So anyway, just to recap, so this is the 6th meetup, and we started in January, and it's great to see some of the guys that were here at that very first meetup, and you know, I really appreciate everyone's time. It's a lovely evening, been a great day, so to come along and spend time tonight with everyone else, I really do appreciate that. I really hope that you get lots out tonight, and the whole point of me setting the group up was the power of the mastermind and the power of the network, because all of us, I can guarantee, want the same thing. We want the same end goal, but when you're on your own and your friends and your family just don't get it, maybe, it's really hard. And you know, when you come to meetups like this and you surround yourself with really motivated people, it gives you such a boost, and you know, you really need to do that regularly. And we didn't really network too much, I noticed, before we got going tonight, and it's a new venue and it's good that everyone's getting their seat ready for the talks, but afterwards we'll have a bit of time, so you know, please hang around and at least swap some business cards, because it's all about the networking and it's about the relationships that you build. You know, try and grab 10 business cards at least before you leave tonight. I guarantee, you know, you'll have a connection that could lead to some really great things, some business opportunities or some deals. You never know, and if it's not that person, it might be someone that they know that they'll introduce you to, so it's really important. So okay, don't want to waste time because Vicki's got loads of amazing content to share with us all. So I'll hand over to Vicki, and now Vicki is a very successful entrepreneur, business owner and property investor. I met Vicki a few months ago, and I also saw her speak at the Key Person of Influence conference, so I invited Vicki along tonight. Give her a warm welcome. I know you'll have a fantastic time. Thanks.
me at the moment.
I got carried away there.
Carried away, we've got to switch over the computers. So thank you very much for inviting me, Chris, and obviously you as well. One thing I would say, that if you're interested in property, the title Escape the Rat Race in 12 months, I would add a word of caution. You're going to need to be mortgageable. So don't fully give up on the rat race. You can escape it by knowing that you no longer have to work, but make sure you don't give up your day job until you've got something that you can show to a lender that makes you provable. That's a really, really sort of important point if you're getting into property. So can I just start off with you? Who is already a property investor, has anything that they own and that they rent out as a buy-to-let type of process? So there's a good portion of the room here. And who else wants to become a property investor? Okay, so that's handy, I'm in the right room. I wasn't completely sure quite how mixed you'd be and what you'd be into. So can we just switch? Oh, we're doing this one now, are we? Okay. I am plugged in. I just need to turn it around so I don't have to stare at them. That's bad. That's lovely, thank you very much. Okay, so what I wanted to do tonight, because I wasn't completely sure whether you were going to be a 100% property style audience or a more mixed audience, is create a presentation for you that you can apply to your property investing career, but actually whatever business you're in, or even in your own work, the skills that I want to share with you this evening, you'll be able to apply to any industry that you're in. So I wanted to sort of take it up a level and over to one side, rather than talk to you about a specific strategy. But if you're interested in specific property strategies, then one of the things that I'll talk to you about afterwards or in a break or something is that we run, and I don't run events very often, there's an event maybe 3 times a year. We've got an event at the end of the month, so if you want to get into specifics, I can help you with that, with books or anything else, but I wanted to make a talk that was general for you this evening. So let's crack on without more ado. So I'm going to be talking to you about how to be successful in property. Am I still in your way, or can you see from there? Good. Okay. And what I'd like your permission is to play a game with you. So it is a nice night outside. You could have been sitting over there in St Catherine's Docks, supping a nice Pinot Grigio with your friends, wafting somebody else's cigarette smoke in your face, whatever it was that's going on around there. But you've chosen to be in this room, and I'd really like to play a game with you, but in order to play a game, I need to have you cooperate. So by a show of hands, I know you've only just met me, but who would trust me to play a game with you, please? Bearing in mind that out of the game, you're going to get massive individual learning. So I'm trying to just see how many more words I have to say to persuade the last. Otherwise, I just have to go around and bully you, and then it sort of sets the tone because then I'm picking on people. I actually, the first time I played this game, scared someone's dad who was in the audience with him to the point where I did it before an interval, and he left at the interval and he didn't come back. So you'll notice that I've now done it where I'm on the stage. I can see you, you can't escape the room. So I've managed to trap you in the room now. So what I'd like to do is, in a little while, I'm going to play a game with you, but I'm also going to give you these tips as we go through. And from the game, you're all going to learn something as well. So what I'm going to take you on to tonight is how to stand out. There's so much noise out there, isn't there? All this stuff that comes through on your phone, comes in your letterbox, comes in your mailbox, your computer inbox. We're bombarded with information. How do you work out what is the right information for you? And you'll all have different strategies. Some of you will have a dodgy email that you put on things when you know you're probably never really going to read them, but you allow somebody to send you newsletters to this email box you never open. But your customers, if I start talking to you as business owners, because whether you're actually a business owner now or you want to be, you're going to be business owners, your customers will be following those same strategies. And so how do you persuade somebody else to open your email, to speak to you, to keep your card, to get in contact with you, to make you the person that they phone? So that's what I want to cover with you this evening. The second thing is about knowing your worth. It's very easy to get carried away with a business and forget the principle that income, which sounds nice, that turnover that you're going to get, has to be paying for the expenses to earn that income, and it's only what's left that's the profit. And I work with a lot of young businesses and even established businesses, and the habit is that we don't tend to check maybe what's coming in until you get to file your tax return in the January of the year after, And that could be anything from 12 to 15 months after you realised, or should have realised, that you're not actually making any money. And knowing your worth is understanding the value of your time and the best use of your time. So I want to cover that with you this evening. And then the other one is about managing your resources. So some of your resources is time, some of your resources is your knowledge, your contacts. You're going to have great contacts by being part of this group, but other parts of your contacts is your money. And it's making wise investments. So literally, in property investment, making wise investments, in business, making wise investments, but also who you work with, who you choose to partner with, is a wise investment, or maybe not such a wise investment, and that's what I'm going to cover with you as well. So let's start with this exercise, this game that I threatened you with. Now, for the game to work, it really helps if you partner up, you're going to get into pairs, with someone you don't know. And what I'm going to need you to do is sort of cooperate, because I'm going to get you to stand up in a minute, to turn around you, to find someone you don't know, to establish yourself in a pair, and then to actually what I'll do, because there's quite a lot of you, is to then get yourself sat down. So when you're in a pair with someone you don't know, sit down, and then I'll know who's left. And we'll do that first, and then I'll give you another instruction. So if you could stand up and find yourself someone you don't know, and sit down.
Stay, otherwise I have to move around. Yes, me? Trying to get out of the game.
If you're in pair, please sit down. And your pairs are done. Oh, perfect. It's even. All right. Part 2 of the exercise. I hate doing the shh, because that makes you sound like your children. So if I put my hand up and you're all busy nattering, that's a sign. If you wouldn't mind, please be quiet and look at me so I can give you the next bit of instruction. Because obviously you're a formidable networking bunch, and I've got to cram you in. We never get through the exercise. We have to keep stopping you networking. So the next exercise, the next part of the exercise, is with your partner. You're going to decide who is A or B. So quickly, who's A or B? Can I get all B's to stand up, please? All the B's to stand up. Now, what I would like the B's to do is to think to themselves, if you were to go away with a massive, massive learning experience this evening, how much would you be prepared to invest in that learning? Okay? And I'm going to ask you to put your hands in your wallets and your purses, handbags and your jackets, and I'm going to ask you to pull out some money, and trust me on this, right? Pull out some money that you are prepared to invest in your learning. And remember that the more that you invest, the bigger the lesson will be. Okay? And then I would like you to hold the money that you are prepared to invest in your learning in the air. Does anybody have any questions? I don't have any money. No money at all. No cash money at all. Credit card? Get your credit card out. Anybody not have any cash money or credit card? That's fine. You've got no cash, no credit card, travel card.
No, I got all my oyster.
What about your mobile phone? Is that valuable to you?
Yeah.
Would you gamble that to learn something?
Yeah, of course.
Then try and get your mobile phone out. And then what I'd like to do is see you holding your money, please, so that I know that you've done the task. Super. Cash, credit card, whatever you've got. Yeah, everybody got something out? Lovely, thank you. I'm quite naggy, so I'm looking at you. You got some?
Well, okay, if there's a learning, how do we know how valuable that learning is before we've learned it?
That's what you're going to gamble. Well, but then the point of learning is, if I'm the teacher and you're the student, it's for you to learn, isn't it? Okay? Because I'm going to share this. I guarantee you are going to learn out of this. How much you learn is up to you, how much you play. You can sit back and you can do that. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if she can teach me. We'll see if I'm going to learn anything. And what do you think you're going to learn?
Nothing.
Not much.
You already
Or you can participate. And we're here talking about, I'm sorry, it could be a bit brutal. I am lovely, I'll give you hugs afterwards. To get to the point, we're talking about being a business owner. You're not going to be able to go into business unless you're prepared to invest your money. And so I'm using this as a metaphor about investing your money. And then it's up to you now how much you would choose to invest in this piece of learning.
I would really hope that when I start a business, I know more about the business that I'm going to start than I know about what we're doing here.
Okay. So, partner, would you like to switch and be a B?
Be a B.
You be a B, and if you wouldn't mind getting some money out and then
Vicki,
participating, obviously you've been a bit...
If you played the game before, I'd like to say that can I go to the back and just watch?
Have you played the game with me before?
No.
Then you haven't played the game before. This is my game. You haven't played this game before. If you haven't played the game with me, you haven't played this game before.
Alright, so.
Okay? And I need you to be a part of something. So everybody's got some money. I would now like you to turn to your, so you're the Bs, turn to your A person and give your investment to your A person to look
I'm very scared of what
If what you have been given is foldable, fold it. If it's a credit card, don't fold it. If it's foldable, fold it and then put it somewhere safe on your body, please. Put it somewhere safe where you know where it is. Do not put their cash with your cash and put it in another pocket. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And what I want to do tonight is to take you through this model. And I'm going to take you through this model and we're going to look at the reasons that people will buy from you. And that's about your expertise and your credibility. And then we're going to look at those people's desire to buy from you. And we're going to look at how much they're prepared to pay. And if you get that mix right, these people in the middle are your ideal customers. Because they're hungry to buy from you, buy what you're good at, and pay you enough that it makes you worthwhile doing it. And that's how you run a profitable business. A profitable property business would have these people being tenants. Thomas, for example, I know, and you're looking to find deals from investors, so these people would be your investors. The people in the room who have got buy-to-let properties, these are your tenants, and if you're in any other business model, these are your ideal customers. And I'm going to take you through that this evening, how to get those people, get the right people to you as quickly as possible. Would that be okay?
Yes.
So, because we're talking about property, you must be aware of the fact that interest rates are so low at the moment, they're ridiculous. And depending on the mortgage you've got, I've got some mortgages where they're just short of giving me money back. That's how silly the interest rates are. If you want any copies of any of these slides at any time, you can give us your card with the word slides on it, and Charlie, my daughter and able assistant at the back, will send, she pays attention every time I say her name, she will send out the slides to you tomorrow so you don't have to make frantic notes. But the point about a perfect storm is that all the conditions are coming together. So what have we had in recent months? The election. No matter what you think about the result of the election, that's a political decision. What we definitely have over the next 5 years is stability now. We know who the government is going to be, and because they're the government that have been in power for the last 5 years, we've got a fair idea of what the policies are going to be. That makes the markets, the businesses, feel a little bit more secure, a little bit more stable. And when people are more confident, they're prepared to make decisions. Business owners may decide to start expanding businesses, either by taking on new people, creating new products, or moving into new areas. And the lenders will be prepared to come into the market with their products, and we've seen that. Mortgage lenders are already offering more mortgage products. That increases the flow of money, which is great for property investors. It's also great for business owners because now you can start to get loans again if you meet the criteria, because they're still strict, but at least the offer is out there. And without money to fuel this, business is a real challenge to perform. Any business that you've got needs a flow of money. You need to be spending the money on the resources that you convert somehow into that valuable asset that you then sell on to somebody else. They give you money, that pays your bills, and the money cycles round. Some business models require you to either leverage or you need to have the money brought into your business so that you can be successful. Without money, it just makes everything slower. And that's why, some of the reason why we've had such a long recession, because the money lenders and the money supply dried up. And without that trust, now we have that back. In the last 4 or 5 months of this year, the property market has been incredibly slow. Very few properties coming on the market. Those properties on the market by people probably forced to sell, not making a choice to sell, and they're asking a lot of money, really, in comparison to what their property is worth, because there is nothing else around. They think they can get the price, and properties have taken a long time to sell. Equally, if any of you have got buy-to-let properties, none of my tenants, for example, have really moved at the same pace that they would have moved in previous set of 5 months. The tenants have been very slow to make decisions about changing where they're going to live, because they don't know their positions. They didn't know what was going to happen in the election either. They had this feeling of uncertainty in the air, and so people slow down on the decisions they make. Now we're going to get people deciding to rent, we're going to get people deciding to sell, and what you have to be careful of if you're just starting out on your property career or taking your property career to the next level is that you don't get desperate. You don't start seeing the start of a micro mini boom, because this could be the boom. I'm not, as much as my friends might think I'm a little witchy, or I think that's the word they use for me, but something along those lines, it's not something that you can predict. But it does seem like we're now in a position where the markets could start to climb, and we can see that coming in London first, and then it'll ripple out across the rest of the country. Don't get desperate. Don't panic. When you do that, you'll make bad decisions, and what you need to do, what I hope to share with you this evening, is some tips so that you can make clear, conscious, good business decisions so that you can carry on being successful as we move through 2012, 2015. And on that note, who wants to be successful in the next 12 months? You wouldn't be here if you didn't, would you? You know, you are a self-selecting group, and that's why you're in the room. Everybody else, as I say, is off there having their beer or wandering home or sitting on a sweaty train or already in front of the TV, and you've chosen not to do that. So I asked you, and I know that a number of you are interested in property. I'd say I'm passionate about property. I'm passionate about what property can do for me, and I'm known as the property mermaid, and the reason for that is that I wanted to create a business that allowed me to scuba dive. That's the mermaid piece. I think that I am the undiscovered granddaughter of Jacques Cousteau, and if I could, I would spend every minute under the water. If you've never scuba dived, I highly recommend that you take that opportunity at some point in your life to be under the water without the need to breathe oxygen because you're carrying it around on your tank. You don't have to surface. The things that you see under there are just truly miraculous, from tiny little brightly coloured shrimps and slugs, basically, that are no bigger than my fingernail, to micro octopus that are no bigger than my finger, to giant sharks. And lordy, I've had some close calls with some sharks. But even that is the most amazing privilege, because you're in 360 degrees of water. You've got to be looking in the right direction to see these things on the right day, at the right time, and so it's always a privilege. And so that, for me, was almost the driving force. I know property's a good idea. Property's going to give me that opportunity to leverage everything that I've got, my time, my money, my knowledge, my contacts, but I don't want to create a business that's going to mean to say that I have to work hard. I want to be able to work smart. And so I created 2 businesses, and they dropped quite naturally out of what I was doing. So to start with, as a family, we pooled our money, myself, my husband, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We put £25,000 in a pot each. That gave us £80,000 to £100,000 to go investing. You know, we live in West London. You know from around here, that gets you diddly, doesn't it, really? So we had to start moving north. And we went off to Liverpool, and that's where we started our first investments. And as I started doing it for myself, I was not only able to do it, but I was able to reflect on what I was doing. I was able to identify where there was a model that I could repeat again and again. Because if I found a house, a 3-bed house that I could rent out to people and make a certain amount of money, why wouldn't I do that again? Sometimes I meet people who go and buy one property, run out of money, which is quite natural, but then maybe go and invest in stocks and shares or start an online business. Why not, if you've done it once and you've done it successfully, think, how can I do this for somebody else? And that's what I did. So I started by buying properties for myself, identified the model, and in sharing what it is that I do, just chatting with people that I met networking, they said, oh, could you do that for me? And I thought, yeah, I could, but I'm going to charge them. And then I started practicing with how much I charged. Initially £2,000, then £3,000, and now I charge £9,950 to help somebody buy their first investment property, or multiple. I've got clients that I've bought more than 4 or 5 properties for. And they pay me that fee to effectively be their project manager, to take them through that process. They buy my knowledge, my experience and my contacts to do that. So I've got a business, sourcing properties for other people based on my experience. But also because my background was as a university lecturer, the teaching gene came up. And first it emerged in writing a book, which was supposed to be an exercise in how to outsource, and turned into this passion. You can see the pace that I speak. I'm like this all the time. There's no caffeine or Red Bull in my system. If there was, you'd be in here locked in until about Thursday week, until I finished all I had to say. So I started writing books, and I've now just published my 4th book. Some of my books are in their 2nd, 3rd editions, and I've just been sort of quite prolific in the writing. The writing has opened doors for me to speak. And from the writing, people said, do you run events? And I can't say that I particularly enjoy the organising of an event or the marketing to get people into an event, because there's a lot to do to get events to go here. And Chris is either, I'm not sure, part lunatic, part hero for opting to make this something that he does on a monthly basis. I ran a property meet as well, and I know the amount of work that goes into it. I'd much more do this sort of thing, rock up. So Chris does all the hard work. Sure, I've had a train journey. Come up, do my bit for an hour and go home at the other end. That's more fun. So probably only do 3 property meets or property events a year with just 12 people in each, because I like working with people individually, and Thomas has been to one of those as well. So then I've done the training events, and then I also like working with people on an individual basis, helping someone make their business plan become a reality, and that's what I enjoy doing. Holidays, I mentioned those. I had to do some above water stuff because Bob, my other half, has got a funny ear at the moment. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to stop being the property mermaid and become the property turtle or something like that. I might have to change the moniker as I have to do more stuff above ground. And I've mentioned to you that I like to write books and I like to speak. I. What did you hear? Did you hear in that last 5 minutes all about me? Would you buy from me? Smiley as I might be. You wouldn't buy from me because I haven't asked you anything about what you want, what your specific needs are. But sometimes when we go networking, and maybe you'll have met someone like this networking, I hope you've met someone like this networking, because otherwise it means that that person could be you. But you meet someone networking and all they do is go, me, let me tell you about me. Let me sell you something. Let me give you my business card. In fact, I tell you what, you give me your business card and I'm going to put you on my database and spam you. Yeah? Had that experience before? And what you don't want to be is one of those people. Because at the end, you're going to get passionate about something. You're going to get excited, motivated, driven about this business that you are going to create or that you have already created. But it's not going to be your passion that makes you rich. It's going to be your client's passion that makes you rich. And when you identify what it is that they need and what they want, then that's what you're going to fulfill. You're not going to be forcing them something that they're not interested in. What you actually want to do is get to a position where you wipe out half the room because they're not interested in what you have to do and you're not interested in or able to meet their needs. What you want to focus on is the people that have a need, a desire to buy exactly what it is that you can offer. And so a property example of this is when you rent out a property, don't go decorating the property to your tastes. It's not your tastes that matter. It's your potential tenant's taste that matters. If you're buying a property with a view to selling it, it's not your home you're creating, it's not an emotional decision. It's a pure, hard, if you like, marketing decision. Who is my ideal client? What is it that they need, and how can I meet that in this product or service that I'm offering? And so who's going to be successful, was it, in the next 12 months? See, you're all starting to look a bit the same, actually. I'm not sure, because you're different from them already, but now you're all looking a bit the same in the room. So who's going to be really successful in 2015, 2016, 2017?
Me.
Still, oh, you have 2 hands up, Chris.
Me.
That makes you a bit different. You're standing up, that's nice, thank you very much. So you're starting to stand out in the crowd. It's interesting, isn't it, when you move into a new circle, and you were different because you moved into this circle, but now you've moved into this circle, you're all the same again. And that doesn't mean to say, and I hope I don't do this to them, Chris, that you all become raving lunatics that jump up and down all the time and really annoy one another, but it's about a metaphor. How can you stand out? How can you be that red apple in the barrel of all the green apples? So that when I have a desire to buy, and I'm in a room full of potential people, potential suppliers, how do I know that it's you that I want to work with, or you that I want to work with, or you that I want to work with? How are you going to stand out? You don't have to do all the media stuff. It's going to be appropriate in some of your businesses. Think about local media. Local media will want stories. Do you have a local interest story that you can share with your local print media? Do you have an area of expertise that you could share with some specific online community, an online publication, an online forum? Because you will know stuff. Whether you recognise what you know, what you could do, what you've experienced, whether you recognise that as being different from everybody else, can sometimes be difficult because you're too close to it. But start thinking, what makes you a bit different, a bit special, other than the fact that you're here on a Wednesday evening? And then think, for example, about your business cards. I've mentioned to you, if you'd like a copy of the slides, that you can leave a business card with Charlie and the word slides written on the back. How many of those business cards, how many of the business cards in your pocket have an email at the end that says Gmail? Be honest. Who's got a Gmail email? Great. Who's got a Hotmail email? Who's got a Yahoo email? AOL? BT? What else have I missed? Talk. You know, and if what we've done is networking, and there were all these people out there, as I'm standing at the front of the room, I can see all of you. I know you're a bit different because that's why you're in the room, but you're all a little bit the same. I can't work out which one of you is the one that I want to work with. And I work my way around networking, and we have a nice little chat, 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 we have a nice little chat. And I get to the point where I go off and have a little think, and I go, I quite like you. I'm going to come back and make sure I get your business card. And we've been talking about the potential of going for a cup of coffee to do business in some form or other, whether I'm helping you or you're helping me, and you hand over your business card. I don't know if your name's Sue, but it's Sue@Gmail. Or worse, Squiggly Sue at Gmail. Or Sue 1971, because it's your date of birth. What did we have the other day? Mike loves Man U. Tony for Man U at Gmail. Is that the way you want to present yourself? Now, this isn't a question about whether you want to present yourself as a Man U supporter. This is a question about, is that the way you want to present yourself as a successful business person? Getting your business card right is such an easy thing to do. I know mine are printed by a printing company, but we use a company, what are they called now, Charlie? They used to be Hutnall, they're now called? Nottingham Print. Really, really reasonable. You've got to send them the layout, so you might have to use somebody with a bit of print design. But I've got a graphic designer, she charges £25 for 2 hours, so for 50 quid, she could lay out a nice card with your logo and your picture, if you don't already have the skills, or you don't know how to work a Mac to do it for yourself, and you send it off to a print company. In fact, you could probably ask Nottingham Print to do it for you. At the very least, get a Vistaprint card, but put your face on it. Because when I've gone away networking, I want to try and remember, what was that bloke? I know he had a check shirt, but I can't quite remember what his face looked like. And then how am I going to come back here next time and meet you again? If you're not wearing the check shirt, then I sort of forgotten what you look like. Whereas if I come back next month and I've got these cards, I'll go, oh yeah, that's him. Oh hi, we met last time. And I'll know your name. And you wouldn't have had a Gmail account, Yahoo account, BT. You can have all of those. In fact, I've got Vicki Wusche at Gmail or something like that, but it's redirected to vicky@wusche-associates.co.uk because it looks more professional. And you can find someone to do that. You don't know how to do it, and you haven't bred kids of the right age to do it because they're extremely useful. They can do all the flicky finger thing. You must know someone who's got a kid that can do it for you. If you can't, you'll actually have to outsource it and pay money for it. But get your cards done. Don't get the Vistaprint with Vistaprint written on the back. Don't buy the business card with the little houses. Everybody's got the same card. Make your card stand out. Make your card professional. It doesn't have to be a fancy logo. Your picture will do. And whatever you do, put your email and your telephone number on there in a font size that's big enough that people can actually read it. Now, what's the point of putting it on there in 0.7 font? You know, so people need a magnifying glass. They want to get in touch. Make it easy for them. It's about how you present yourself. You're going to find your expertise. You need your credibility to back you up. Whether it's in the press, on the business card, the way you dress, the way you present yourself, how you talk about your business model. Because what's the point of all this networking if you're going to meet the perfect person, the perfect business partner or the perfect client, or possibly the perfect mentor, and then blow it when you hand over that business card, or when they check you out online? Who's Googled themselves? You listen, don't be shy, Google yourselves. All of you must Google yourselves. What do you do? Did any of you Google me before you came tonight? Who Googled me? Yeah, and why wouldn't you? You're going to pay money for this. You want to know who is coming. You want to know whether it's a good use of your time. So if we were going to go and have coffee, and now you're Liz, I'm making you Liz. So when I've met Liz and she's given me a business card and it's not Liz 1971 for Man U at Google or anything like that, so she's not blown it. We're going to go for coffee. Before I actually go for coffee, or before I confirm that appointment, I'm going to check her out online. Because if she doesn't follow through online, say, actually, I'm really sorry, Liz, I didn't check my diary properly, there's been a bit of a clash. Can we just do a quick phone call instead? Would that be all right? It's a nice, easy way to follow through, to still have the call, to still speak to her, because just because her credibility hasn't stood up for her, I might still actually want to do business with her, or her with me. But I'm not going to waste time travelling for an hour somewhere to have coffee with someone for an hour that I'm probably going to have to pay for, to then drive home for an hour and actually find out that she was as bad as Google implied that she was, because there was no credibility there. So think how you use your time. Think how people who are thinking of speaking to you, working with you, are going to be using their time, and make sure that not only Google, but Google Images follow through. Who's seen those pictures on Google Images of the slightly drunk people or the dodgy, squiffy clothing after a few nights out and a few too many bevies, and they're dancing around and their friends thought it's really funny? Snap that photo and put it up there on Facebook with your name tagged on it. People are going to see that. So you want to make sure that they're not finding that out about you. And the only way to do that is to make sure you Google yourself. So who's going to be really successful? Who's going to be, I've got some waving in the background. Really successful? I thought you were really successful. Yeah, were you not really successful anymore? Oh, good. Really successful. Thank you. So there's one really successful person in the room, so that's great. So we've been talking about expertise and credibility. You've also got to have a desire from the customer to buy, and they've got to have a desire to buy it from you at the right price. What is their success strategies? What are your success strategies? So if we were talking about property now, I would be saying to you, what investment strategy are you going to use to make sure that you're successful in property? I haven't got a flip chart because I forgot to ask for one, but we would be thinking about things like maybe buy to let, maybe houses of multiple occupancy, HMOs, maybe doing rent to rent, maybe flipping, that's buying and selling on quite quickly. But inside all of those strategies, inside every business that you're thinking of, there are activities that are useful for you to do, and there are activities that are essential for you to do, and there are activities that are frankly not worth your time. So for example, I write books. I adore writing the books, but I haven't written the 50 Shades of Property book yet that's going to make me the £1 million. They're great manuals, they're very useful books, they pay for themselves, they bring in, the ones that have been out there for longer, bringing in income, so they've broken even, but I'm never going to be able to give up work on those specific books. Maybe the 50 Shades of Property that I might write next year might be the one that makes the difference. There are two sides to my business, as I told you. Sourcing properties, repeating the model that I've already got that I know works, so my expertise and repeating that model, or sharing my knowledge through the teaching business. I love sharing my knowledge. I love writing the books, speaking, teaching people one-to-one or in small groups. That's where my passion is. This is where I make the most money. So I have to find a balance in my business between doing the activities that generate the income, because when the income is in the business, you can then create product, you can then create new services, you can then get better business cards, better collateral, whatever it is. You've got to have the money in the business, and then I can spend a key amount of time, and I will think about how much time I'm going to allow myself to spend on it, working with mentees and working on running events where I get some extra joy. The difference between the two businesses is that they're tenants over here. If I could work out how to buy investment property and make a lot of money without having to put a tenant in it, that would be the strategy for me, but I haven't worked that one out. As yet, you need the tenant to pay the rent. I haven't worked out how to get the government to give me money for an empty house, but I am working on that. That's my daytime dreaming, and that's why I get so much more pleasure, because I tend to pick nice people that I work with rather than the tenants. And the tenants are fine, bless them. 95% of them are fine, but it's that one lunatic, and you'll meet your one lunatic. Maybe with a bit of luck, you'll only have one lunatic a year or one lunatic every other year, but there's always a lunatic lurking around in a property portfolio. You need to think for your individual business models, what are the components of your business? What are the income streams, if we talk about it like that? Imagine an Excel spreadsheet, and down one side, you're writing your invoice numbers, and along the top, you write the types of business that you do. So, mentoring, strategy sessions, book, workshop, buying a house, managing a house, whatever you want along the top of your business. And for each invoice as it comes in, you put the invoice value under the appropriate column. At the bottom, what you can do is work out what percentage of your business turnover comes from that particular stream. And you will find in your business that there are low value, high quantity things that you do. So if anybody here doing online marketing or an online business of some sorts where you create a product, so create a product once, send it out there, that's like the books. Relatively low value, I mean we're selling them for £10 tonight. I've written them once, I don't have to keep writing them again. We've got them printed and then we just sell them. So it doesn't take a lot of my time. The other things that you can look at is your high value items, and effectively, some people refer to it as a funnel, because people come in and they buy a book for £10, then they may come on a course, then they may decide to have you as a mentor. But a funnel implies they have to go through those sequences, whereas if you actually think of it as a staircase or as a slope, people can come in at any level that they want. And some people will start to come to you. As your credibility grows, they'll come straight in at your high value products with you. Because what they'll have done is they'll have checked you out online, they might have spoken to somebody who knows you. If you've written a book or written a blog, they'll have read that. They'll have been doing their own Google-based and human referral-based research on you, and then you may get a call out of the blue that says, "Hi, my name's Mark, I've read your book, or I saw you speak somewhere, and I'd really like to work with you. I'm looking for a mentor, can you help me?" Or whatever your business model is. Or, "I've seen examples of the pictures of the properties that you buy, and I'd really like you to help me start my property portfolio. Can we have a conversation? I've got, 200,000 or 500,000 to invest," and you'll get someone come to you like that. But only once your credibility supports your expertise and you can explain your expertise in a way that people can know that you're the right person in the room that they should be working with. So I've got a free gift for you. So somewhere in the room, I have put out, well, in fact, in the room, I've put out cards. The majority of you will have cards that look like this. Somewhere in the room, there is a card that looks like this. And so the owner of this card, I would like to give you a free book to say thank you. Who's got the card with my face on it, rather than the card with the houses on it? Is that you? Yay! I knew it was you because I know exactly where I put the book, but you were looking very confused.
I put it in my pocket.
Oh, have you? Good. Thank you very much. Enjoy. And the reason for doing that, this collateral costs money. Before I started giving out the gift, we put these out on the chair, and at the end of the evening, I'd find them on the floor. Some people folded them in half. If you don't want it, don't fold it in half. Leave it on the table for somebody to collect back up. It costs money. You've all got them in your hands. And some of you will read them, some of you will put them in your pockets and take them home. The amount of cards we've had left since I've done this is worth giving away a book for. What marketing techniques do you need when you're in front of your audience? Can be one-to-one, could be one-to-many, to get home a little piece of information. Every touch point you have with a potential customer is building that relationship with them. Some people talk about a customer needing up to 7 hours to make a decision to buy from you. Some people say that they need 4 different locations, so they might read a book, see an email, come and see you speak, and then have a follow-up conversation with you on the phone. Whether you think it's 4, 7, 11, 21 times, doesn't really matter, because let's be honest, we're all completely different. As far as I'm concerned, if it's a nice colour, I'm likely to buy it. Whether I need it or not, could be a spanner in orange or blue, and I'd probably buy it if it was the right shade, because I'm driven by colour. Some of you will go, well, if it's under £10, or if it's under £100, I'll buy it whether I need it or not. Ladies, I'm not just picking on you, but how many times have you wandered through a shop? The last thing you need is a pair of shoes or even a cardigan or a necklace, but it's in the right colour, the right shape, or the right price, and you buy it. Guys, a tie, a book, I have no idea what it is that men buy, but think of something that a man buys, a golf ball or something. Like, oh yeah, technology. That might have to be slightly over the £100 budget, but I mean, how many gadgets do you need? But you will have an implied buying decision process, a method of deciding how you make a decision to buy something, and how you, after you've made that purchase, decide that you're still happy with that purchase, having made it. And you need to think what your customers are like. So think about tenants, for example. You want to rent a room. What is the process that a tenant would go through in order to know that yours is the right house? They might see it on an estate agent's window. If you go through a letting agent's window, if you go that way, do you post things on Facebook? Do you have a community that maybe Facebook would, pictures on Facebook would work for you? Gumtree, Easy Roommate, where are you advertising your product, your room for let? And what does that room look like? If you ever trawl this and you're ever sad enough to actually look at rooms for rent, how rubbish some of those properties look. A good photo is key. We are very much more a visual generation now than our grandparents were, because we're stimulated by all this visual stuff that comes into us, whether it's the games or stuff on our mobile devices. Good pictures are crucial. Dressing your property is crucial. You don't have to leave the fluffy pillows and the runner and the picture on the wall, but you have to have them in there for the photos. So, what is your strategy to be a successful business owner? A successful property business owner? Is your strategy going to give you the life that you want? Or are you creating a business model? And let's be honest, at the start of every business you are going to have to work harder than you ever imagined. But are you creating a long-term business model that means you can't have evenings and weekends off, that you can't go away on 2 weeks holiday? So think about your strategy and the demands on you of the business model that you're creating. Do you need to alter, adapt, or enhance your strategy in some way so that you can bring all of these things together? Where do you make your money? Where in that Excel spreadsheet are you actually making the money? And if I just do a piece of maths with you now, if you want to take home approximately £40,000 a year, as a small business owner, in your business all by yourself, there are going to be a number of activities that you have to do. You're going to have to do the admin. There's always going to be some form of admin. Even if you outsource the admin, you're going to have to manage the admin that you outsource. There'll be some business development. You know, you've got to be on it all the time with your business, being creative in your business. There's going to be some form of networking, some form of meeting clients, whether it's networking like this or having the 20-minute phone calls or dealing with potential sales emails or sales inquiries. And that leaves 2 days a week for actual delivery, actual income generating time. I've analysed my business over the last 5 years, and this holds true for me broadly. Okay, it's an average. So if you can only earn 2 days a week, and while there might be 52 weeks in a year, just to make the maths nice and to build in a contingency, you only earn for 40 weeks of the year. Because there are bank holidays, there's Christmas, there's Easter, there's the summer break, and even if you don't want to go away, a large part of your client base will be going away at certain points of the year. And there'll be the ebbs and flows of seasonal business. So assume 40 weeks, 2 days a week, that's 80 days a year to earn £40,000, that's £500 a day. Who in the room knows their hourly or daily rate? You have to know your hourly or daily rate. If you don't know your hourly or daily rate, I could say, I'd really like to employ you, £10 an hour. If you don't know what your hour is, you don't know whether that's a good rate or not. If you're going to invoice for 2 days a week for approximately 40 weeks of the year, and then sure, invoice for more, because then you make more money, you need to be invoicing at £500 a day. Who thinks right now that that sounds like a lot of money in their business? Okay, be honest. What if I tell you that to earn the 40, you've got to have your mobile phone, possibly petrol, parking, travel of some sorts. You've got the electricity that your office takes, the internet, collateral, product creation, service creation. You've got to pay a bookkeeper or an accountant. You've got tax, national insurance. So what you really need to be earning, depending on your business model, where you live, distance to travel, and the expenses of running your business, you might need to earn £60,000 or £80,000 a year in order to take home 40. Now, you don't have to earn 40,000. You could choose to earn less. You might only need to earn less, but we are having a meeting in London. And if you're thinking of a long-term plan where you're going to give up your day job, you may as well do it for £40,000 and not less than that, as long as you don't have to work all the weeks of the year. For £40,000, you've still got 12 weeks of the year that you can have your holidays. That's a nice balance. But now, actually what you need to do is invoice at £1,000 a day. Now who thinks £1,000 a day sounds like a lot of money in your business as it is right now? Yeah? Now think about all the things that I've told you. How can you take it to the point where, first of all, you in your heart are happy and congruent with invoicing £1,000 a day, and if you're not, your clients won't buy from you, because if you hesitate, so I charge, it's £1,000 a day. Doesn't sound very, no, it's not confident. You pick up on it, and you'll, if you're any smart, will start negotiating. Or £1,000 a day, well, what if I had you for 2 days? Would you do it for half price? And then you'll jump in, and before you know it, you've undersold yourself. But you've got to have the business cards, you've got to have the credibility, you've got to be Googleable. Maybe that's a new word, Googleable. Googleable? Write that down, Charlie, Googleable. So, are you going to make enough money? And where in your business are you going to be able to invoice £1,000 a day? Don't get £1,000 a day for my books, but I did a book launch at the business show in 2013 or early 2014. Client sat in the front row, or a man sat in the front row at the end of it, bought the book, came and spoke to me, the book that I gave you, the Property for the Next Generation book. Came and spoke to me at the end of it, and I bought 3 houses for him already with more to follow. What was my rate for sourcing a property? 9,950, including VAT. 3 times that, 30 grand from him with more business to come. More than paid for the books. So the books themselves don't earn the money, but they're a vital part of my marketing. Not everybody has to have a book, blog, video, whatever's appropriate in your business. Do it with quality. Because quite frankly, and this is a proper term, this, a shitty book is not worth the paper it's written on. It will let you down. There are typos in there, bad grammar in there, bad structure in there. It will let you down and you'll have wasted your time. And a book might not be appropriate because that might not be what your customers do. In the property world, people buy books, they learn from books and they check out books and then they move their way through different learning materials. But think about how you learn. You could read, you could watch a video, you could listen to a podcast. What will your audience do and how can they learn about you and about what you do so that they can make that decision that they know that you're the person that they want to work with? You need to convince them without even knowing who they are. And so your product also has to be of massive value that you can charge $1,000 for it. So you're going to have expertise, you're going to have a model that you understand and you can explain to people, you're going to have the credibility, the Google ability to check it out. There are going to be people out there that want what you've got because there's no point you being brilliant at something that nobody wants because nobody will buy. So there has to be a market in your niche, a market for your niche. And that market has to be prepared to pay the equivalent of £1,000 a day to make it worth your while. Or whatever your figure is, you could build up to that. As I said, I charge, call it 10,000 now, but I started at 2 and then I went to 3. And part of the reason I put my money up because I realised I wasn't making enough money when I was just charging £2,000. I wasn't making that daily rate. Okay? So think about that. And then think who these people are and make sure everything is right for them. Not you, them. The house is what they want. The room is what they want. The price, the product, the service is what they want. Because that's where the desire is with them. Yours is the passion. Theirs is the passion that's going to make you rich. Okay? Does that make sense? So if I could leave you with a quote, what I'd say to you is that money is all well and good, but money is only a tool. And it will take you wherever you want to, but it cannot replace you as a driver. Money is a tool. It's an energy that moves around, but it is something for you to use. And while we're talking about money, have I forgotten something? Have I forgotten? How are we doing for time? What have I forgotten?
The game.
Oh, the game. Were we playing a game? What was the game then? Who forgot in that last 40 minutes, honestly, that you'd given some money to somebody else? Who allowed that thought just to slip out of your head? Who was so busy listening to me that just for a minute you forgot? Thank you for being honest. Thank you. Briefly, that's fine. Because hopefully I was so entertaining you were listening to me, so inspiring that you were listening to me. When you gave that money over to your A, hands up who asked for a business card, with or without the Gmail account. No one? Who knows the last name of the stranger you just gave your money to? One. Who had a written contract with the person that they gave their money to in order to know how they were going to get their money back? Did anybody write a contract? No. There are some people that do business that way. There are some people that get so caught up in the moment, so inspired by a speaker at the front of the room maybe, who says, trust me, that they leap into a business and they hand over money without knowing how they're going to get that money back. You hand over money for anything, it has to come back to you in some form. You exchange that money for something. You exchange that money for knowledge. You exchange that money for time. You exchange that money for a product that has value to you, that is equal to, or hopefully in excess of, the money that you exchanged. And when you hand over money in a business transaction, where is the written documentation to make it clear the terms of that money exchange? Now, if you buy a book off of me, you can have a receipt. So So in a way, that is a piece of paper in that transaction. You might just buy a book, you might just have bought your ticket from Chris here and not done a formal contract, and that's fine. But if you're going to get into business with anybody, either as business partners, potentially working with someone as a mentor, or working with someone in a client relationship, you've got to write down how that money is going to be used and when that money is going to be used. And in a pure property example, who's heard of joint ventures? Yeah? How many people are going into joint ventures without thinking about who they're getting into business with? Apart from the fact there's legislation, you're not meant to be doing this with strangers, not meant to be doing this with somebody who is not sophisticated enough to make the decision. People are entering into relationships where they're exchanging tens of thousands of pounds without documents to look at how they're going to get that money back. And I know of 2 examples that I've read through on Facebook. Someone who lent money to somebody and is suing them through the courts to get that money back because there wasn't a clear contract of where that money was going, when that money was coming back. And they're out £100,000. Who can afford to lose £100,000? Surprisingly, nobody in the room. And another person who handed over £100,000 and a lot more other people invested in somebody's idea, and that person has now gone bankrupt and they've lost the lot. Think who you go into business with. Apply everything that we had in this diagram. What's their expertise? What's their credibility? Google them, check them out. And just because you see a testimonial from someone doesn't mean to say that the testimonials are necessarily true. My photo and words that I said in 2009 to an event host have been taken by one of the co-speakers in that event and applied on his website to a course that he is running, that he is implying that I have been on, and I have not. And he's a bankrupt, and I don't trust him, and I would never do business with him. He was simply one of 5 speakers at an event, and I gave my testimonial to the event host, and he's been part of the team and he's had access to that, and he's taken it. So even though there are testimonials, check them out, follow them out. It's your money. You need to know where it's going and when you're going to get it back. And now, A people, if you would like to return the money to the B people. Because I'm sure they've got a lot more thank you very much for looking after the money for me. B people and A people, do you think you've learned something from that game? Do you think you've learned something about keeping your eye on the money? Have you learned something about potentially the values that go with money? Have you learned something maybe about the decisions? Or even about, sorry, who was it who was going to be really successful in 2015, 2016, 2017? No, actually, I think you're all tired. Really? Who's going to be successful? Thank you. Really? 4 of you? And the rest of you, you're not going to be successful? Stand up!
I am!
Thank you. Take a seat. Heavens above! How are you ever going to get out of the rat race? You're not prepared to stand up when I ask you who's going to be successful. What I have got for you at the back of the room, if anybody's interested, I didn't realise this was such a phenomenal group. But these manuals are part of a course that I ran that Thomas came on, and these manuals, we've got them for £10. And if you are struggling with any of the maths, this is a workbook that will help you take it through and think through how much money you need to earn in order for you to be in a position where you can break that link between having to go for work and knowing that you're going to work, but all of your expenses are already covered through your business. And remember what I said right at the beginning, please don't give up your job until you're absolutely sure all your expenses and more are covered by your new business venture and that you have accounts to prove it. Because whatever business you're going in, and specifically if you're going into property, you will find it much more difficult to get a loan if you can't prove to a lender that you can repay it. And having a great deal isn't good enough. You need some other form of income. And if you are someone who's doing property investing and you're stuck with the maths again, because maths, we could have done a whole maths lesson this evening. This DVD will teach you not only how to use Excel, but will take you through how to analyse a deal. So that's really useful. So tonight's talk, I encouraged you to stand up and stand out. And I talked to you about what your worth was and keeping an eye on your money, even if it's in the pocket of your partner, and where to use your time to the best of your abilities so that you can generate that income and break that link between having to work for a wage. I've mentioned to you about leaving your slides. If you leave us a card and you write the word slides on there, we will only send you an email with the slides. Quite frankly, if you don't want to engage with me, I'm not interested in spamming you with my newsletter or my emails, because it brings down my open rate. We use Infusionsoft and I can see how many people open my email, and I only actually want to engage with people who are interested in what I have to say, because it keeps my percentages up, which makes Infusionsoft like me. And so if you do want to get more involved, I welcome you with open arms, but I'm absolutely not going to spam you. So if you'd like a copy of the slides, then leave us your card. If you would like me to call you, then just write the word call on. I won't phone you unless you say, call me, and then I'll write to you, okay? And don't worry if you've got an email account with a Gmail on it, or a Yahoo, or anything else. I have had lots of little sorry notes appearing on the bottom of business cards. It's okay. I will still speak to you even if you've got a Gmail, a Yahoo, or a TalkTalk. So there's one thing I'd like to just say to you. If you think that all of this is about investing in property, it's not about investing in property. You've actually missed the point. All of this, escaping the rat race, everything, this is all about how you invest your time. And investing your time is your most valuable asset. And that's why breaking the link, investing in property, because obviously that's what I believe in, whatever business model you choose to set up, getting it right is so important. And I hope this evening that I've been able to share 3 tips with you that will work whether you're in property, but also work whatever business you're thinking of setting up, whatever business you're currently in, even employment right now. So was that useful, guys?
Yes.
So I'd like to just share with you, I mentioned to you that I just run the occasional event. We run these 3 times a year. They're only for 12 people. As I mentioned, Thomas, was it good when you came before? Remember how much money I paid you? How good was it? You can ask Thomas. This is a different event than Thomas came to. Thomas came to the one that was about business. This is actually about playing the game of property. So I've created a whole day. In the morning, I'll be teaching you about how to play the game. And after lunch, which I will provide for you, we will play 1 year in the property world live in the room. I will create an environment where you can buy pretend deals, buy houses, negotiate for them, get your mortgage, get your tenants, manage your refurb, potentially sell them back out, or rent them and get the cash flow. Whatever strategy you're looking at, if you've never invested in property before and you think that property is what you want to go into, you will have a full day, but an afternoon of a game living 1 year in the life of a property investor. And what better way for you to work out whether that's really the industry that you want to go into. As part of coming to that event, I'll give you the DVD. It's normally £97. I think if you speak nicely to Charlie, she might give you a deal tonight for you to have it, but you'll get a copy of that when you come to the event. You'll also get a copy of a strategy blueprint we use, which will take you through working out your income and your expenses, what your time is worth, so that you have got all the business skills and the business knowledge you need to come into that day and play that game. And it's £495 including VAT. It's on Saturday in about 3 weeks' time, the 27th of November. If you would like to get together with a partner tonight or bring a partner from home, then I will do 2 tickets and knock £200 off. Is that a question?
Yeah, you just said 27th of November.
Did I?
Yeah.
27th of November? That was good. Good man for listening. 27th of June. Thank you. 27th of June, 27th of November. We seem to be doing them always on the 27th, so there was the 27th of November, I think the 28th of February, so it's the 27th of June in 3 weeks' time. So if you'd like one, and again, Charlie's the hard-nosed one up the back there, she's lovely as well, but if you speak to Charlie and just one of you in the room wants to get the ticket and you don't have a friend, then I'm quite sure you might be able to persuade Charlie to just give you the £100 off on your own ticket. All right, but if you've got a partner you want to bring with you, then it helps bringing along your partners with you. And that's me, I think. How's that for time?
1 minute.
1 minute. What should we do for 1 minute? Anybody got a question? Don't you think I'm getting off the stage if I've got a minute left?
That's fine.
What was the model you used to build as compared to portfolio? Because you mentioned that you use a specific
So
model.
I started off right at the beginning doing buy-to-lets because I wanted to learn how to do it. So buy-to-lets, buying a house and renting it out to a family. I rented it out to benefit families. I particularly targeted benefit families, single mums with children, because that's part of my story. I didn't have time this evening to give you the whole story, but I used to be on benefits as a single mum. When Charlie was just a year old and her sister 3 years old, we were in social housing. And so when I moved myself and the Express called me Benefit Mum to Property Millionaire, as I started that journey, I wanted to be able to give back. Quite frankly, working with benefit tenants is, I would call it an advanced strategy now. The government's brought out universal credit. They are a hard client group to work with. And so I'm now looking at reviewing the entire portfolio and house by house, renovating it and moving it over towards working people. Not that working people won't lose their jobs, but they come with deposits, they come with rent in advance, and they come with respect, and they come with a degree of financial management that sadly there are some benefit tenants out there that don't. One day I'll tell you about Dog Poo House, but maybe not tonight. Anybody else?
Sorry,
Yes.
and those clients were outside London, did you say?
My properties?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went north. We sat down and we went, we've got 100,000, what can we do? We could buy one flat in West London where I live, because the 100,000 has got to pay your 25% deposit, your solicitor's fee, your survey fee, your broker fee, and pay for the refurbishment, and pay for the mortgage while you're having the property refurbished and everything else, and possibly in London even your stamp duty. We'd have got one property and that would have been it. The career would have been over. There would have been no books. So I thought, where in the country have I been? And we went, Brighton. Oh, Brighton's nice. Yeah, Brighton's nice. You wouldn't even get one house in Brighton, would you? Bath. Bath's nice. York's quite nice. Liverpool. Oh yeah, Liverpool. Didn't say, oh, Liverpool's nice. Maybe we'll go to Liverpool and see what Liverpool's like.
Do you mind if I ask the size of the portfolio?
Yes. It's not the right question to ask, I will answer you, because it really doesn't matter how many properties I've got. Because I'm going to tell you, because it's a question everybody asks, right? Because we get hung up on how big is something. So if I said to you I've got 200 properties, would you be excited? Yeah? Would that sound impressive? But you wouldn't know whether I was making £50 a property, would you? What you want to know is whether my portfolio means that I don't have to work anymore. We have 23 properties in our family. We don't have to work. I don't have to work. Okay? I took a year off. I took a year off for personal development in 2007, for my friend Sally dying in 2010. In 2012, I did the KPI event that Christian saw me speak about. And then last year, my dad was really ill, and I took another 9 months off. But when you take time off, if you are a business person, that's why you're in the room. You're a creative person, a thinking person, a doing person. There's only so long that you can take off before you're bored, before the ideas start pouring back in your head. And then you'll go and start another business. Am I allowed to still ask another question? Yes.
Would you say sourcing properties at bottom line is still relevant?
I think what you've got to think about is how much you charge and the strategy that you are effectively selling your client. Lots of people are talking about buy a property, add value, pull the money back out. If you're only paying £50,000 for a property and it costs £10,000 to put in a kitchen and a bathroom, but the surveyor that comes to resurvey it looks at the property, sees that you bought it for 50, he's only going to value it for 55, 60, depending on what else is going on in the street. He's not going to value it for 80 that allows you to pull all your money back out. Anybody that says that you can pull all your money back out, I'd want to see precise figures. They say pull all your money back out. Sometimes what they mean is pull the deposit back out. Sometimes they mean pull the refurb figures back out. And sometimes what they're not doing is telling you the whole story. If what you're doing, like I do for my clients, I meet my clients outside of property meetings, they come to me through the books, through the websites, through the newspaper articles, they have cash to invest. I don't discuss with them the terms BMV, below market value, that's all rubbish. I don't discuss with them remortgaging and pulling all your money back out, that's risky. I'd rather have 5 properties that gave me £1,000 each than 200 properties that are all remortgaged up to the max, because what will happen in the coming years is interest rates will go up. And whether it's now or it's in 5 years, your mortgages need to be able to be paid for you to appreciate any long-term capital growth, and long-term capital growth will be in the long term. You've got to keep paying that mortgage. You need to be pulling out, I would suggest, a minimum of £200 profit per individual buy-to-let house. If you're working with an HMO and it's in an area where you can charge something in the region of, say, £75 to £100 a room, then you want to be looking at pulling out about £500 to £1,000 per shared house. If you're going to do a deal where you're going to flip it, buy it, change it in some way, significantly, not a coat of paint in a kitchen, significantly alter the property, then you want to be in a position where for every 6 months' work, I would suggest you need a minimum of £30,000 profit, wages for you. And that's after you've paid back the cost of borrowing and everything else, wages for you. And probably more, depending on how much money you've invested, how much money you've risked. Up the back.
2 questions for me. Question 1 is, when did you start systematising the business? Question 2 is in 2 parts. Have you got a second portfolio, and when did you decide to move it down, like Liverpool and then come down to
Okay. Okay, so I started investing for myself in 2008. Christian, give me the when you've had enough, all right? So I went to my first training course in February over Valentine's, put my first offer in June 2008, completed in August. It was hell, it was almost mortgage fraud, it was all sorts of things went wrong. Didn't get the second property till January 2009, and in 2009 I bought on average 1 to 2 properties a month. Continued buying but a less pace in 2010. All of those properties are in Liverpool. Then my friend Sally started to get ill and I was distracted writing books and all that sort of stuff. And then we started again in 2011 sourcing for clients. Those were properties up in Liverpool again. And then in 2013 made the switch over to Lincoln to do houses of multiple occupancy, and now I'm coming back here and I'm just biding my time to maybe look at some development deals or maybe some houses of multiple occupancy closer to home. I live over by Heathrow. I've spent time switching backwards and forwards between sometimes I source when the market gets hairy or mad in some way, then I put more time into my mentoring business, so I take on more mentees. So I'm working with 12 people at the moment. I've got capacity for 20 in a year. It's really important to understand your capacity as well, because if you breach your capacity, then you breach potentially the quality of the service that you're delivering. There was a point where in my own portfolio I bought 4 properties at one time. That sounds exciting. My God, it was the worst 3 months of my life. Now I love the numbers, but you know, thinking about this, thinking about that, going here, going there, moving things backwards and forwards, I didn't enjoy buying 4 at one time, because I still want to have the holidays. I still want time at home. So for me to buy 2 properties at a time, because I'm in this not to work hard. If I wanted to work hard, I'd be a labourer or something, you know, or go and get a job somewhere. I don't want to work hard. I want to have holidays. I want to have long weekends. I want to be able to finish work at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, except when I'm out speaking. I don't want to work the weekend unless I'm running one of my own events. You know, and there are lots of people, when you look at them, I mean, who's heard of Simon Zushti? You know, they're running weekends every weekend. Who's heard of Tigran? Running courses every weekend. I've been in that world with Tiger, and that's where I did my first training. Spent £20,000. You don't need to spend that much money. And then you get caught up in it, so then you spend all your weekends crewing for free. Who's done crewing for free? You know that technique of crewing for free? That's when the person at the front of the room talks about gratitude and abundance. There's abundance in the world. Anybody who would like to take the learning that they've had today and ingrain that learning in a different way by supporting other people and affiliates and all of that sort of stuff. And you stand around the outside of the room and hold the space. Did a whole year of that. A very famous person who's into personal development. A whole year. When I know in the room he had 200 people paying him £3,000 a ticket for a week's training course, I didn't even get a free cup of tea. I don't know what gratitude and abundance means to you, but abundance and gratitude to me means at least a free cup of tea, please. Never mind, I think you should actually give me a sandwich. Bearing in mind you've just made £3,000 and you don't have any staffing costs. You're standing at the front of the room, you've got an AV guy at the back who probably is being paid. You're paying for room hire, and then all of us mugs around the outside because we're getting it from a different perspective. You've got to learn, right? Systemising the business, probably, to come back to your question, because I don't know where I went then, sorry about that. Back on track. Systemising the business. I have got a good memory, even if I can't always remember that I have. Systemising the business probably came through writing the book in 2010, that reflecting on. Reflecting on what you're doing is so important. And if you don't have a mentor to work with, you've got to have someone that you can speak to. And setting up a small boardroom that you can work. So my mentees, for example, they work with me on a one-to-one basis, but we meet quarterly, so they can all sit round the table and go, well, this is what I'm struggling with at the moment, this is what I'm struggling with at the moment, and have the input of other people, the perspective of other people. Because I love my Bob dearly, and he's my dive buddy and been my partner for 16 years. You've seen the pace I speak. I'm like this at home, all the time, on any topic you want. What did we do last night? Homeopathy, Charlie. 1 hour on the pros and cons of homeopathy. She speaks just as fast as I do. Bob is at home thanking every one of you, each and every one of you, for allowing me to come here this evening and give his ears a rest. We were even at the ear clinic this afternoon because he's got a dodgy. In fact, they said that he's going deaf in one ear. It's the right ear. The right ear. Actually, it's the right. Oh my God, it's the right ear. That's the one that's near me because we sit this way on the sofa. So that's how I systemise my business. Was there anything else I forgot in your questions? Your question at the back. You had A, B. When did I change the portfolio? I went through that, systemised the business. I think maybe the other man might be a bit late, and that's why I'm allowed to keep going. So I'm going to go with the questions because Christian's disappeared as well now. Yeah. Here, then there, then there. Go on.
How did you manage to choose a profitable area? Because like Liverpool versus say
Maths, pure maths. First set of figure is yield. So yield takes the purchase price as advertised on Rightmove and compares it with a like-for-like property and takes the gross rent. So you're taking annual gross rent, 12 months of rent, dividing it by the purchase price. Anything over 10% was worth a look.
Yeah.
Then you start looking. Okay.
10%
Then you.
on the value of the property. 10% on the value of the property.
No, 10%. That the rent, the gross rent coming in.
Yeah.
Divided by the purchase price of the property would be 10% or more. Then you get more sophisticated and you start looking at ROI. I know I've got 2 minutes because he's showing up, so I'll do quick questions. Yours?
With the various business projects that you have, how do you know how much time to spend in each different project?
That's the maths. I have to say I'm a bit of a spreadsheet freak.
So
I told you with the Excel spreadsheet that I know which pieces of the business give me the best use of my time.
Yep.
I know my hourly rate, and so I allocate my time.
Right.
I have a colour-coded, and it's on, I think it's on the DVD or the USB that you get. I colour-code my diary. Red is business development, blue is networking, green is income generating time, and it's in one of those books, and I have this quadrant, and I colour-code my diary, and I have a red day, a blue day, 2 green days, and an orange day, which is admin.
Right.
And I borrow the time backwards and forwards, so that I spend approximately 40% of my time income generating on activities will generate at the equivalent of £1,000 a day.
Thank you.
And then a question.
If you're looking at flipping a property, would you go for a mortgage and then factor in a redemption cost, or would you just go for a bridging loan? Or?
Well, that's a 5-hour answer, okay, because that all depends, doesn't it? I think the first thing I'd said to you is I would very rarely flip a property, because property has never been cheaper than it has now, so why sell it? If I could take a property, increase the value, and it still worked, I would look to increase the value, remortgage it and hold it, and hold it for the next 3 to 5 years, and only then consider selling it. If you are going to bridge a property, it's got to be able, the whole model, the whole equation, if you like, has got to be able to pay the cost of bridging, which can be expensive, which of course is why everybody's thinking that JVs are a good idea. They are, as long as the deal works. But some properties you will have to bridge or use family money to fund it, because it might not be habitable, it might not have a kitchen or something, and so you might not get a mortgage on it. And of course, when you get a mortgage, remember you're going to be tying yourself in for a minimum of a year. If the project is going to take less than 6 months, you wouldn't want to do that. And then you've just got to remember that if you're going to flip out, whoever is going to buy your property has to be able to get a mortgage or buy it outright for cash. And there is something called the 6-month rule. A lot of lenders will not let you take out a mortgage on a property if it's not been owned by the original owner for 6 months. And I think I'm going to come to an end now, unless there's one burning question in the room. And if not, we're going to be at the back and we'll speak to you afterwards. Thank you very, very much.
Cool. So just stay where you are for a second, guys. So very lucky, had a little bonus session there from Vicki. We're going to do actually going to revisit a bit spontaneous here. We used to do like a little power networking thing, because it really is so important to just make the most of your time here and get some business cards. And something Vicki touched on there, which I just want to reiterate, is, let's see, put your hand up if you're an entrepreneur. Okay, put your hand up if you're a business owner. Okay, so everyone's hand should be up to both those questions, because you need to think of yourself as an entrepreneur and a business owner. You need to get into that mindset if you're going to become financially free. And you know, we've been doing workshops, we've been talking about this. Very important to find your natural flow and to really create this picture in your head. So think of yourself as an entrepreneur, because you're making money. You're here because you're looking for ideas to make money and to create value. That's the definition of an entrepreneur. So you should all be, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Because you need to have this success mindset. It's so important. This is where I was last year. I was in my job and I was like, I hate it, I want to get out. You know, I had to change my thinking, my mindset, and I started going to education, started going to property networking events and working out, okay, what's the direction? How am I going to do this? And 12 months later now, you know, I'm in property. I'm selling deals. I'm making like, you know, £10,000 a deal. So, you know, I can do it, you guys can do it, and you know, that's why we're here. I don't want you to go home and just think, oh, it was okay, yeah, not bad, got a few ideas. I want you to take action. At the end of this year, I want us all to say, yes, we've done it, you know? And I really want everyone to be on that same tip as me, because I'm passionate about this, and I know that there's lots of you here as well who are already making great strides. And anyway, I could talk all night about this stuff. So we're going to have like 10 minutes power networking. Some of you want to go to the toilet, grab some drinks, because I'm not going to carry those cans home, so go and get a Coke. And then, so here's going to set up, and we're going to go into the trading stuff.